one of the things that we didn't talk about was your qualifications. Do you want to run through your qualifications?
Sure. Well, judges are a little bit different. We were joking earlier, Steve, as you know, that I'm not going to lower your taxes, and I'm not going to, I don't have a big group of people around me to tell me what to say to the public. Credentials for being a judge really is based on experience. It's based on knowledge. It's based on a lot of integrity, that kind of thing. How I got here and why I was kind of asked to step out and run was, for 20 years, I've been a trial lawyer. Like I said, I grew up in Texas. I was a prosecutor right out of law school, and grew up in the misdemeanor, DUI, doing drunk driving cases all the way up then, and I ended on the federally funded Drug and Violent Crimes Task Force, where I tried capital crimes, I tried murders, homicides. In fact, here's an interesting case that I tried, that you talk about the sophistication of the gangs. I had a gang unit officer. I worked a lot, obviously, on the task force as a prosecutor. I worked a lot with the gang unit. I worked a lot with undercover, the narcotics guys in Texas. And I had a case one time where one of my sheriff's deputies, he was in the gang unit, had a huge gang unit sign on his back that was on, they attached all their coats. One night was shot by a gang member. He was 19 years old, because in this particular gang, if you shoot a police officer, you rise up in the gang, you get another tear on your eye. And again, at 19, he thought that was powerful. So what these gangs did is they took hollow tip bullets, and if you're familiar with ballistics at all, hollow tip bullets, and they fill them with mercury. The same kind of mercury if you would take a thermometer, and you know how the beads would crash all over. So filled them and then waxed them over and put them in their gun. And the reason for that is, if I shoot my gun and I hit you in the limbs, not here, you know, if you're, I'd go to the police academy for a long time being on the task force, and the police academy tell you, obviously, where you're going to kill someone, you know, the torso and the head. They would take these mercury tip bullets and they would shoot in the limbs, because then that mercury would disseminate throughout your body, throughout your muscles. It could not come out. It's poison, and you would die a very, very slow death. It was gang warfare. They loved to do that to each other, because if I shot you in the leg, your leg would get very ill. It would get poisoned, maybe gangrene, and they just thought that was hilarious. So this gang member shot this police deputy, or sheriff's deputy, in the gang unit 7 times with mercury tip bullets. And at the trial, it was an interesting trial in one aspect, because I had to learn how to deal with mercury and trial rules and that kind of thing, and fly in a bunch of experts. But one of the things that I did that was interesting in that case is that it was an attempted capital murder. It wasn't capital murder. Capital murder meaning I shoot a police officer, that's a capital crime. It was attempted, but my sheriff's deputy at the time was very ill. And we struggled as the district attorney's office as to what to charge him with. Was it an attempted capital murder? Do we wait, unfortunately, until the deputy died? But anyway, so the deputy did a wonderful job, and we tried that case, and we convicted him of 99 years. Again, there was a child, going back to what we were talking about, who got involved in gangs and committed a horrible crime. And the jury gave him 99 years after that. But, so from that, I've done a lot of cases like that, very sophisticated crimes, a lot of trial work. When I was in Texas, I tried over 150 jury trials, which 150, well, you have to understand these jury trials, a lot of the things I tried went on for a week and a half, 2 weeks. So I started out as a prosecutor when I came back to Fort Wayne then. I went into private practice here at Beckman Lawson. In my practice, I do 99% of what I do in my private practice is federal litigation. So I try cases in the federal court, or I litigate cases in the federal court. The majority of what I do in federal court is employment law, wage and hour law, kind of more of the sophisticated acronyms, FMLA, EEOC, you know, FLSA, those kind of things. Defending both corporations here in Allen County. And I also do a lot of work for individuals who have been discriminated against, and that kind of thing. But I also couple my private practice now in the federal courtroom with I'm a felony prosecutor for Allen County currently, and using my roots in Texas, like I said, I couldn't get away from it. So I'm a felony prosecutor and a full-time partner here. It keeps me very busy, but I love to try cases for the county. My passion really is the courtroom, and after 20 years of state and federal litigation, I understand the courtroom. I know the rules of evidence. I understand. I've been in front of so many judges. I can tell you good calls, good judges, bad judges, but I think that I have all the tools needed now to sit on the bench, don a black robe, and follow the law. Whatever laws are on the books, I will follow that law. I'll listen to the facts in the courtroom. I'll be fair, I'll be firm, but I'll ensure that the fairness in my courtroom at the end of the day comes out, and I don't mean this cliche-ish, but justice for all. Because, you know, in a courtroom, the defendant has rights, but the victims have rights too, and that's one thing I think people are unaware of in Indiana, is victims have huge rights in that courtroom as well. I've worked with so many victims over the years, victims of violent crimes, victims of property crimes, and when they walk into a courtroom, that's very intimidating. So a judge needs to be able to weigh all of that. They need to understand how the courtroom works. They need to understand the jury is really the most important aspect, because they're the ones that get to decide oftentimes the outcome. But the judge sits on the bench and knows the law, understands the rules of evidence, keeps the lawyers accountable for their actions, but then ensures that not only in a criminal courtroom the defendant's rights are upheld, but also the victims, the families, the hurt ones, that the victims have rights as well. And at the end of the day, in Allen County, the judge is able to sentence the defendant if he's found guilty. So to ensure that you've got, I think that after all of my experience and education, that I will be a very, very good judge. I think I'll be firm. Obviously, coming from a law enforcement background, I'll be firm and not have a lot of tolerance for anybody that wants to hurt Allen County citizens, but I will be fair. I will be very fair because I understand both sides. In my private practice, I do a lot of defense work for companies and corporations. And then in my county and state practice, I'm a prosecutor. So I've done both sides, both defense and prosecution. And although I'm very pro law enforcement, I will ensure that my courtroom is fair.